The following is an encore presentation of new expressions.
And it is Friday morning and we're going for it already.
It's already on. It's like new expressions, which we listen to every Friday, right? Because you're in your car or you're at home and you tune in 94.9 or rema.cc if you're online, but you are listening. And it's like it's already happened. It's
I know. We're just
exploding
yakking going on in here. We're talking about all sorts of things. Snowing in here, weather.
Yeah, thanks, Mick, for the temperature again.
That's right.
Down in the minus something or others. It's great to be in the studio. Great to be on the New South Wales Central Coast. I just come from a huge event, which is the Salvo's business launch for the Red Shield Appeal. So every year, Salvo's peel off the second last weekend in May as our national appeal, and we do the door knock, and everyone knows all about it and so on. And so, but every year they launch it out of Mingara on the Central Coast, the business breakfast. And so heap of businessmen all together, and it was going gangbusters there, and it raced out of that place, and just hearing all the some of the work that the Salvos are doing on the coast, and it's just a great day to be on the Central Coast.
So what do you do? Is it just all the business heads? And explain that.
Yeah, it's a breakfast. It's a breakfast. So we'll have a guest speaker. I was saying off air to. Oh well, hello. Wait a minute.
Yes. Yes.
Intro Liam Miller, Reverend Pastor Bishop, guest in the studio today, first time. So good to have you with us, mate. The Uniting Church minister up here in the Wyong area.
Yeah, so mission resource worker up in the Warnervale, Wyong, Toukley area. So very excited to be here and joining you guys on the airwaves.
Yeah, mate, pumped to explore all the stuff that's going on in your world and what you're bringing to the coast, because you're new here and stuff. But right at the moment, it's all about me.
Was he the speaker? Yes. Yeah, we need a spotlight in here. We need a spotlight right now.
You're asking about the Red Shield Appeal launch. So Gina Jeffries was the guest speaker at the event, and we had all the local politicians that were there, but all the business leaders as well. And Mingara sponsored the breakfast, and we literally businessmen come with the anticipation that they're going to kick in some dollars to launch the appeal. And
they got breakfast, didn't they?
That's right.
They got fed, right?
I'm telling you, it's a good deal.
That's right.
Of course, for those of us who are in the middle of 21 days of prayer and fasting for the federal election, that's a whole other thing.
It doesn't include coffee.
Just
not the coffee, right?
It doesn't include coffee.
I can drink this, right?
You can have coffee.
Amen.
Of course you can.
Everybody said.
Anyway, so that was a great launch, and again, just celebrating all the great stuff on the Central Coast, and then to come and connect in with you, Liam. Had the privilege of being at your I'm not going to call it an ordination, your
induction,
to ministry on the Central Coast, and we have a mutual friend, Fiona Blair, who has a missional influence or leadership role within the Uniting Church. Fiona joined us last year.
Right, Reverend program. Fiona Blair.
Yeah, that's her.
I remember her.
She's just brilliant.
She's probably somewhere going, no!
She's in the UK right now, so I think we're safe to say whatever we do.
She's listening online. Fair enough. But she's just great. And she said, there's this young guy coming up on the Central Coast. You've got to meet with him. He's going to be great. Get him on your program. And it's like, yes, definitely. And so we've managed to do that. But we're saying about a month and a half, 2 months ago, when you did that induction into your ministry space, I was at the hall that's in behind Wyong's famous cafe, Duck Moose. It's, what's the hall called?
McKinnon Hall.
McKinnon Hall, that's right. Yeah. And listeners will know that. It's been there for forever, and it's a great parcel of land right there in the middle.
I'm still stuck on Duck Goose. I have no idea what that is. Moose.
Yeah, I know, get it. It's a cafe, but it's good. Anyway, they're not commercial agreements or anything, so we can just keep moving on. Anyway, and don't look like that.
I've driven through Wyong. I've never seen this cafe.
It's new. Well, it's not new. It's 12 months old, but anyway.
Right. Okay. There you go. Gotcha.
Liam knows where
they need to work on their signage. That's the main thing.
Yes. Duck Moose. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
But
okay.
we were there, and the gathering, like the churches from the Uniting Churches from the region had gathered, and Fiona had said to me, look, this is an important day for us. I went, well, as the Salvo across the Central Coast, I'm going to be there. I want to cheer that on, and obviously get to shake your hand and be part of that special day as well. And so that was the commencement of a Sydney guy coming up to the Central Coast. So How is it? Like, listeners are going to be keen to know. Hold on a minute. There's a new Uniting Church Ministry and Responsibility Mission guy up here. Let's hear about you. You're married?
Yes.
Yeah. Little one?
Yes, a little one is 2.
Hang on. You see how the conviction? Yes, I am. Yes.
His wife's listening.
Yes.
It was like
Heather.
Heather or just Heather?
Just Heather.
See, I like that. Are you married? Yes. And her name is Heather. It was fear and trembling. There you go. That's a man's happily married.
We're married. We'll be 5 years in September.
Beautiful.
So married a little while now, and we have a little girl who turned 2 on Easter Saturday.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, belated happy birthday.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I'll pass that on. So we all moved up. We moved up on December 28 last year, so we've been up here about 4 months now, and I started the role on January 2nd. So it's new, but 4 months has gone by very quickly. It's flown by.
This year has gone nuts.
Yeah.
So you must be just flying because everything's new. You're meeting all the new people and a
lot of names to learn, a lot of suburbs to figure out.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, well, I think
a lot of territory, a lot of terrain. Yeah,
and it's tough because I think up around our area, it's a new suburb every like 500 metres.
Yeah.
Just a new sign saying, "Hey, you're now this place."
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
I haven't heard of half of them. And I've been up here 7 years now.
It's like Louisiana. There's tons of places never heard of before. Some been there a day, some been there 10,000 years. Never heard of. Seriously, this place is huge, isn't it, man?
Yeah. It's stretches.
So land in Wyong and they you had because you've been doing chaplaincy in Macquarie Uni. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was at Macquarie Uni part-time and then full-time since 2012 until the end of last year. So I've been kind of very used to one particular space that was its very own kind of context. Again, quite different. We had people come from the Central Coast, but it's the university is a whole other thing.
You do know that Sydney is one of the southern suburbs of the Central Coast. You know that, just so we're really clear on
right
the geography.
At the southern end.
So at the uni, and you're connected with some coasties. But
yes. But I other than passing through, I'd really spent very little time on the Central Coast. Like I played a bit of sport up here or driven through to go, but never a lot of time. So it's certainly been a learning curve, to meet the area and to discover what it is. Because you have ideas of it's where a lot of people who go to retire. Okay, it's a coastal, beachy kind of area. It's an area that's a lot of people move there because they can't afford to live in Sydney, but they can buy property up there. You got some general conceptions in your head, but actually getting here, yes, you're right. The huge range of what it is. Like we're in an area with all these new homes that are still being built. And there's land near us which has been flattened to build another a few hundred homes. So there's so much of that. But
there's a section off the highway. It's nothing but caves. It's all caves.
So
it's by the reptile park, but it's all caves. It's there just in case you want to partake.
Very good to know.
So seriously, it's all walks of life here. It was. Well, this is what my sixth year here. It's just. And I still haven't seen everything. It's just spread out. Beautiful. It is beautiful. Lovely beaches, but it's just seriously, it's all walks of life here. So
that's it. And we were looking at some when you first setting up there and working in ministry. You're looking at like some of those ABS stats on on the area on the economic levels, and they give ratings of 1 to 10, and you're looking at it around 10 being most affluent, most educational, employment opportunities, all that. And we're looking at where we are, and the suburbs around us, Tukley, Lake Haven, Wyong, are scoring 1s. The lowest around you can basically get, and that surprised me. Like I knew it wouldn't be. I knew there was going to be a mix of economic levels up here, but I didn't expect
it's not Vaucluse,
but it was a much lower rating than I expected. So that's a thing that you start to realize about the area. It's so different. A lot of the things we kind of you almost joke about when you first drive around was like, oh wow, like so much more fast food.
Yes.
Or so many franchises that you haven't seen in Sydney for about 10 years, but are still, like a Sanity Music is still,
I referred to it as the zoo. So you got the gorilla encagement here. Drive down there past the cafeteria, you got the, this area and that area. It's just, you drive and you find something new. There's even a Carl's Jr. here. Seriously. I was happy about that myself.
That was basically
imagine you might have been.
I was happy about that.
But you have to, so learning a lot about the area, has been a huge change, a huge culture shift. So,
it is massively different, isn't it? and the pace of it's certainly different as well. And although if you're in Wyong much, you still got that car park called the Pacific Highway that, the Central Coast is meant to be free of traffic drivers. And it's like, hold on.
That is, it's wild, that stretch of road, and it's only going to get worse because they keep, building more homes just north of it. But yeah, exactly. I came up here to get away from Sydney traffic, but it's like 10:30 on a school day, and you're like, oh, we're going to sit in this for 30 minutes. It's absolutely wild.
It's a wrestle. So how did it happen? Like you're busily serving away in Macquarie Uni as a chaplain in that context there, and ministering your heart out, and then someone taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, we've got an opportunity. Is that? Yeah,
there's a bit of that. So there's kind of like two streams to the story. So the my part, and I'll start with that. So I'm currently a candidate for Minister of the Word, so part of the Uniting Church process. I'm basically in training to become a reverend, a minister in the Uniting Church. And part of that is you do field education, so you do ministry training, ministry placements in different contexts to help you prepare. And so I'd been in the uni for a while, and so there was, you need to go and experience somewhere else. You need to, be a part of a congregational life, be in a context that's different to the uni, just go and you need to be doing something else. But I didn't know what that was going to be. I just knew something was going to change. Then, while that's happening, is the Uniting Church Presbytery, the kind of the council that's kind of overlooking this whole area of the Sydney Central Coast, had implemented a new strategic plan for the Central Coast. It was kind of understanding that, the Central Coast, huge change, right? Demographic change, so many people moving to it. There's a number of churches up here, but many haven't been able to have a minister for a long time. Some churches are growing rapidly, some churches are shrinking, but there's this huge amounts of the area that we're just not connected to at all. It's not reflected in our churches, and we're not kind of, connecting to these areas. So they kind of rehauled how they were thinking about the Central Coast, and part of what they were going to do was, we're going to pour resources into the area. So we're going to work with the churches, but we're also going to put people on the ground. And what that kind of person will be is, to be discovered. Like maybe it's going to be community chaplains. Maybe it's going to be people to work, across several churches with youth. Maybe it's going to be, mission workers. Whatever it's going to be, that's a bit to be discovered. But we're going to be putting people up there to help think of new forms of church, new expressions of missional engagement. So all that was happening. So basically, they kind of came to me and were like, "Well, we know you need to go somewhere. Would you be interested in coming up here and being? I'm basically one of the first people to come in this kind of role." Because I think they felt, well, I've had some experience. The uni is a very different kind of context where you don't have much visibility, and you're just trying to think of different ways to connect with people outside of the normal way. I had some experience with church planning, so they're like, well, why don't you go up there? There'll be a mix of it. You'll be working with congregations, but you can also bring some of that expertise, bring some of that experience to work with the churches up here, to work with the people up here, and think, what is it that we're going to do? So that's kind of, I had to, it was kind of approached at a meeting, and someone was like, we're thinking maybe you could go to Warner Vale. And I'm like, oh, okay, sounds good. I'm quickly getting out my phone, Googling Warner Vale, like putting it in Google Maps. How far away is that? I realized afterwards I'd been up here once before, but it was like it didn't click immediately. But so that's a bit, So the church looking to do something new, and me needing something both for experience and for a chance to explore a different kind of ministry.
And we got to see that thing launched publicly at McKinnon Hall, and actually out in the yard, and it was just a glorious Central Coast Sunday afternoon to celebrate that. And so you're now in the process of reimagining, or envisioning or seeking God on what it is that he wants things to look like, and it's almost like there's a bit of a blank canvas for you in some regards.
Yeah, very much. Like, there's some aspects of the role which is working with the churches, to think about how they can increasingly, connect with their community, can serve their community, can make meaningful connections. And then there's also this side of well, what is it? Because it could be something entirely new. What does this area need? What could we offer that would connect meaningfully to people, that wouldn't feel like, another drain on their time? What is it that we can be doing? So we're exploring that now, and that could be anything. That doesn't have to be any kind of traditional church service on a Sunday morning. That might be a group that walks through nature and considers the creation of God and reflects on what that means and our role and place in it. That might mean connecting with people who who surf and starting a surfing group. It doesn't have to be a. That's not going to be what I start, because I can't surf and I like the ocean, okay, but someone else can start that one. But yeah, it's this whole idea of it's not necessarily about. That idea of getting people to come to us on a Sunday morning. It's about, okay, where are people?
Exactly.
How can we be in that space?
What will work here?
Yeah.
I might need to introduce you to Pastor Brian Fisk from Surfside Church in Toukley. He's a surfer from way back. And anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Looking forward to more of what's in your heart in terms of kingdom stuff. What Evan and I keep finding is that the Lord keeps bringing people to the coast. It's like it's a strategic assignment. It's like, hold on, we need this guy here, we need this guy here, we need this woman here, we need this partner here to come be part of what he's building on the Central Coast. No coincidence, no accidentals. He's very, very purposeful.
Yeah, it's like he's tired of us just driving around it. To look to the left. Look to the right. There's something there. Pile of bushes, twin servos.
And this is Friday Morning New Expressions program. You're listening to us either on your radio at 94.9 or you're online listening to us. And there's people all over the country and beyond the country, actually, that listen in. They dial in online. And so I'm sure Fiona Blair's listening from the UK at the moment.
Come on. The Right Royal Reverend Bishop.
That's the one, Fiona.
Archbishop Fiona Blair. That was a funny segment, man.
Yeah, it was great fun. She had good fun with us.
I went home and listened to it again. It was her reactions were just hilarious. Oh, man.
Hey, speaking of which, you can listen again. So if you went to the rema.cc website, there's a podcast page. And so every single New Expressions program that we've done, and we've done, 2.5 years of them now. So you can go back and listen to, if there was stuff that really spoke into your heart, you can just jump in and listen to it. You'll probably recognise by the name of the pastor, the leader who was on the segment, whereabouts it was, and you can enjoy that secondhand again.
Yes, you can. They're in date order, so have a look at it. Everything's up there except for the last 2 weeks, but that's not my fault, Rick. Boss, I'm on it. I'm on it.
In the studio with us today is Liam Miller, who's the Right Royal Reverend Bishop, and so on and so forth. With the Uniting Church, just come up to join us from the southern suburbs of the Central Coast, a place called Sydney. And we're really glad you're here, mate. We're really glad you made the trek up with your family to be part of what God is doing here on the Central Coast. Every Friday morning in this program, we conspire for the success of each other and each other's ministries. I know when the Uniting Church is going well, the Kingdom of God is going well. When Uniting Church Wyong or Warnervale or Toukley or whatever is going well, then we're going well. When the Salvos have a win, then the Kingdom has a win. When Hope UC or Liberty Family Church, C3, you name it, when they have a win, we all have a win. We all get better.
Yes.
And so the heart behind the program here this morning is just to really, cheer on each other and the ministries that God is releasing in the region. And it's really significant because this is you're something of a pioneer in Uniting Church world. Certainly Fiona Blair, who we've had on here before, her heartbeat for mission and reaching the world that we live in, our communities, serving them well, loving them well, seeing the kingdom established. That's coming through, in leaps and bounds in you. And that's essentially what we want to see. We're better together and seeing the kingdom in different streams and different dimensions manifest in our location. Well, that's a good day. Yeah, so why don't you just tell us about, because there are 3 Uniting Churches in the location where we've had Reverend Richard Harrison before from Terrigal Uniting, and he's just a friend to the program and a great kingdom guy as well, building great stuff down in Terrigal, but he's not in the region that you're in. You're more in the northern region. Who's in that?
So it's Warnervale, Wyong and Toukley Uniting Churches, the kind of area that I'm working with. So Warnervale is quite a reasonably large church, and it's got a big new building that they've kind of moved into. They've had a minister, they had Reverend Maz Smith for quite a while up there, and she was terrific. She's recently retired, and so they're looking for a new minister. But they have a good, large, a bit of a cross-cultural ministry and children ministry, and and they've got a lot of good connections into their local schools, and some really exciting stuff's happening there.
And a great facility.
Absolutely. They so they have this lovely, just a sidetrack, they have this lovely car park, because it's a nice new church, it's really flat car park, which just all through the school holidays is just like kids on scooters, kids on skateboards, all that. Which the church loves it, and so over the summer we got a grant and rented a bunch of skateboard ramps and jumps and all that. Put on a big day with some craft activities, some ice cream, some things like that. Connected with these kids who are always there, so it just gave you the chance to be like, we're happy that you're here. Yeah, let's throw this on.
That's brilliant.
So we're looking into seeing how we could either make some or get some for a more permanent installation you could put up every school holidays.
Nice.
So there's that. Then Wyong and Tukli are smaller churches that are lay-led, but full of just wonderful, faithful people who are connecting to their community in a bunch of different ways already. And it's exploring with them, and so the idea is, okay, we've got these 3 churches which are really close to each other. Whenever you talk to, one of the things you notice when you move up from city to the Central Coast is what you consider a long distance compared to what everyone else considers. Oh man, Tukli's so far away. It's 10 minutes. What? I had to do 15 to get to the shops.
I've got to jump in because that's exactly what happened on the sidelines of soccer training last night. Like, we've got a game in Tukli with the Wyong Emus travelling to Tukli, it's like, I'm sure I travel 3 times that distance just to get to training, but you're going, we've got this hike over. What?
So the idea is we're really close to each other, and we're not all churches with huge bountiful resources or huge amounts of people who can put their time into what we need. Why don't we think of actually how do we reach this region together? And we're not all going to be doing the same thing, but we might be able to partner, to lend, to work together, to have some sort of collective vision of our missional activity in the region. And so part of me is to my role is to help work with these churches to get out of our kind of silo mentality, our kind of preserving what's ours,
and get involved.
Exactly. Let's work together. Let's share. Let's think about, and then let's think also beyond just our 3 buildings. In that, what can we do in that wider area? But it's exciting to be working with these churches who have been working away faithfully, have been making doing excellent work for a long time. But now it's just about, okay, well, how can we be maybe a little more strategic about it? What could we do if we had more resources? What could we do if we started to think differently? And because part of that's the big issue. Like meeting with some churches, you kind of talk about, okay, what can we do to connect with people? And a lot of the first conversation is, well, maybe we could make this tweak to the Sunday morning service or that tweak. And it's like, no, we've got to blow up that binary. Like, yes, we want to think about what we're doing on Sunday morning, of course, but we've got to go beyond that. And that's not like a knock on people who are having that, who are thinking like that, because for so long, they might have spent 60 years in the church that told them this is what church is, right? It's this one kind of model, it's this one kind of approach. So we've got to kind of do the work of helping people expand their thinking of what church mission engagement is. So part of what I'm there is to help. Is to help do that. And
you still need those people on the inside to do that.
Yes.
But you need people on the outside to bring the folks outside in to enjoy what they're doing. So I get that.
So,
but it's a blowing up the box, though. It really is, in terms of, we have the paradigm. It's interesting it's that, because Salvos has been in the same space, and we've been reimagining. Now we've got a wonderful apostolic leader who sits over over New South Wales and ACT, Colonel Miriam Glewis, who I relate to as an apostle. She's literally filled with vision and just a kingdom woman, like just outstanding. And she's been literally provoking the movement to be sent people into communities and to be carrying gospel and good news into communities, rather than how do we tweak things that happen inside our buildings. Interesting, I was involved in a regional meeting with ACC leaders recently as well, who are having exactly the same conversation too. Here's what we found. They said 80% of our outreach is geared to our Sunday meetings. Now, there's a problem there, because not 80% of our communities are coming to our Sunday meetings, and so they're doing the reimagining. They're blowing up the boxes as well, and it's like this is I think the Father's agenda for His kingdom people in this season. I think we're in a real time of we will gather together as worshipping communities. We will because you can't stop us. Of
course.
We want to gather together and worship our King. We worship Jesus, right? Like this isn't some good idea. We worship him, and it's rich to do that in the context of public gathering.
Yes, and amen.
And we're sent, and we carry a gospel and a kingdom to this world, and we need to be pursuing that. It's lovely to hear. Fiona introduced us to the Uniting Church journey on that. It's great to see, you realising something, you being part of what that now starts to look like. That's
it was interesting when I came up here. Like a passage that was kind of really running around in my mind was when John the Baptist's disciples come to Jesus, and it's like, are you the one, or should we wait for another? He's like, go tell John what you see, right? The blind receive sight, the lame walk, and the poor have the good news delivered to them. Like, are we willing, we take that somewhat symbolically, are we willing to let that be the thing that we're saying, are we the one? Are we the Church of Jesus Christ? Are we these followers? Can we go say, hey, go tell others what you see? People are receiving healing and restoration into community. People are being delivered good news that, their poverty is not the defining aspect of their life. Is that what we're willing to say? That we can stake a bit of a reputation on, because Jesus doesn't say, "Hey, go tell John what you see." Look how many people are here with me, look, we've got them all coming on a particular time. People's lives are being transformed, and that's happening all over the place. And so we have to kind of ask that question of one of the big things we have to deal with is when do we think something's worked, right? I think it's so often the model has been, okay, we're going to start a program or we're going to start a new something, and it's worked when the people who are there are with us on a Sunday morning. Right?
You're asking, what is our measure for success? And invariably, the church has come to, has our congregational numbers on a Sunday increased?
Without that service changing at all. Right? Without service running exactly the way I wanted it. But maybe what the thing is, when we do start something, a fresh expression, a form of ministry and mission out in the area, it's worked when we've connected with people's lives, when we've created meaningful community, when people are asking questions about faith and life and their place in it that they weren't asking before. That we can, when people are having a moment where they're, coming to, a relationship with Christ, when people are, realizing that they want to take up this mantle of this kind of Jesus-shaped life of serving others and that's, we can say that's when it's worked.
Measure
they
that.
might not have
measure that if you want to measure something.
And that might mean that community that you've started, that becomes the place where all that happens, where the discipling happens, where the worshipping happens. And we never have to say that they have to be in our structured Sunday morning service, because we can do something entirely new that meets them, and we can keep the other thing going for those who want that. But we just have to help people to ask that question of, okay, what is that kind of question of when has it worked?
You're already flying with that huge car park right there, man. I mean, children, the devil thinks that's his playground. It should be our harvesting field. Why do we need to get them after they're married and spat out, or this and that, or gone through this and that? Get them young.
Come on.
Get them young. Teach them right. You know what I mean? That's a good, Hey,
listen, what does it say? You think about it. You're one of the kids who kicks along at Warnervale car park and you're ripping it up purely because it's nice laid asphalt that you haven't had the opportunity to rip up before, and you're going, this is really good fun. I don't know if I'm really allowed to be here or not.
And it's a church. You can imagine what he's thinking.
So hopefully I don't get told to boot it off real quick. Hold on a minute. They just brought in ramps for me.
Yes.
They did that for me. Like the connecting with that.
That's right.
That's like, you just place value and worth on a young kid who wasn't asking any questions.
That is correct.
Other than, am I going to be punished? And
it also keeps the spray can in his bag and off your wall. How nice is that?
Come on.
That's nice.
See, the questions, I love that you're redefining what we look as to success. We reimagined when we were in Sydney, and this is years ago now, but when we were in the middle of a large government housing estate serving Jesus in that context and the poor, and one of the elders just reframed our whole measure of success. It's like, how are we going to measure this thing? And it was purely this, it was obedience. Can we say that Jesus said for us to do something and we did it? All right, end of story, success, tick that box, good news. Did we reach into our pockets and hire up a bunch of skate ramps? We did. tick that box. That's success, you know.
Yeah.
Did anyone, you know, come in and join the kids' church that week? Maybe not. I don't know. We were successful. We served our community, loved them well in Jesus' name, and reached out to them. We saw somebody other than ourselves. It's a great day.
Yep.
Good way to reimagine, if you like, what the kingdom of God needs to look like in these days.
We appreciate that. Back for our last segment of New Expressions. It's been fast and furious this morning, hasn't it?
It's gone by.
You know, it's just you smash it out. Just smash it out. And it's heaps fun. Well, you know, when you start talking about what Jesus is up to, you know, you start celebrating some of the, you know, the wins and some of the kingdom things, and you just realise, wow, how awesome. It's great. And so, yeah, it does fly by. And, you know, again, in the studio today, Reverend, that's right, isn't it?
Pastor.
Yeah, Pastor, right. Sorry, I got it wrong again.
That's all good.
Liam Miller.
Just don't want to get in trouble.
Church.
Okay,
yeah. Mate, we'll call you Bishop.
Yeah,
that's all good.
That's more safe. Yeah,
And Canon's the wrong. It's the wrong one. It's the wrong.
yeah I think Canon's
Canon's another. To me,
Yeah.
Something you fire in the old
There we
days.
go. Yeah, it's okay.
Don't
making
fire
sure.
him. Don't fire him. Really
toss
glad
that
you're
in
here.
there.
You're a few months into the journey with us
Yes.
on the Central Coast,
Yep.
and you're pioneering a missional focus within the Uniting Church. Just you know, who's you know, great Wesleyan tradition of reaching the poor and serving communities and so on. So you're drawing on heritage that's extravagant, as does the Salvation Army. You know. Wesleyan Methodist kind of tradition that's then shaped into what it is today, and it's quite beautiful to know that you're here and you're engaging with our communities, because you know it's not hard to fall in love with the people of the Central Coast. You know, it's
No, it's not.
it's a glorious place to be. Great people, and the beautiful thing, I know we already introduced you to the ministers within the region of Wyong, and looking forward to gathering together next time for that. But you know, doing things together, you know, building the kingdom together. We so desperately need one another. The heart, if you like, behind the New Expressions program is we're, yes, conspiring for the success of each other, but we just know we are better together.
Yep.
And if we can figure out how to love one another and abound in love towards one another, is the different streams of the Christian church, then that's a brilliant day, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, all that's ahead for us. We're all walking into that. I had the privilege this morning of sitting at this Red Shield Appeal Salvo's breakfast launch, and I was sitting with you know, the competition, if you like, over the road, the Star FM, the CEO of Star FM, Paul Maltson. He's a good mate of mine, and Maltz was saying, "Oh, what's new? Tell me what's new." Now, this guy's hardline atheist who's turning $56 million a year through their commercial revenue, right? And he says to me, "What's new?" And I say, "Well, you know, I know how you feel about this spiritual stuff and all that, but I have to say to you, here's what's new. The broader body of Christ, the different streams of the Christian church, they're figuring out how to love one another and to look beyond ourselves into the communities that we're in, and to love extravagantly." And it's, I guess, I don't mean to say it's new, but it's new in that we're really pressing into relationship together, into oneness. In this, you just should have seen the smile on his face. He's like, really, is that happening? You know, and it's like, yeah, it's happening, and it's happening in spades. You know, it's like the broader body of Christ, whether you're Anglican, Baptist, Uniting, Salvo, Pentecostal, Independent, whatever you are, we've figured out we're better together, and we actually love one another. We're part of the one great family, and we actually love this region. We love this people in the Central Coast. We love the communities where we're in. Is that new? I don't know if it's new, but I tell you what, there's a momentum on it at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there's a recognition that, you know, there's so much, you know, I think if you think of, like, you know, the average person who's got no church experience, right? Because we're past a Sunday school generation. So someone said nothing, and they pull up to a traffic light and they look at a sign that has Lutheran Church, Uniting Church, Anglican Church, Baptist Church, Church of Christ, you know, pointing in all the different directions. You've got to be like, why? What's that about? Like, you know, you don't know what any of those mean, so why there's so many, you know? And so I think, you know, that kind of denominational identity, while, you know, is there is, you know, held within, you know, we understand what, you know, who we are and why we are what we are, you know, for the broader world, that just doesn't mean anything. There's not like a lot of reasons that people are going to come to an area and be like, okay, I better look around for the local version of the church. You know, people just, there's just, it's broken down so much. So the need then to work together just, you know, is so natural, an outflow of that kind of new Australian landscape kind of thing, of this post-denominational to some extent landscape, that, well, why not work together?
It's interesting you say that, because I was talking to a politician who I will not name this week, who said to me, I actually said to him, we've been praying for the civic leaders in our nation every single night, 7 p.m. since the 1st of January, the Watch 2019 prayer initiative. And so the Christian Church, broader Christian Church across denominations, has been intentionally praying for you, for your civic leadership, that you would have the supernatural wisdom from God to lead in the office that you sit in. And he said, "Oh wow, that's great." He said, and so I think he picked up on the fact that Christians praying, and so he then tries to draw some straws about, I've attended this church, and that's kind of where I go. Well, actually, I don't kind of go there. I kind of go all over, he says, and I'm thinking, righto. He said, I went to that one at the Central one up in North Wyong. I said, Central Life, Pastor Keith and Di, good friends of mine. Yeah, I know them. So you go, no, and I've been to the surf site, the surf one in Tuke. Oh yeah, Pastor Brian, you know him, yes. And just realising, actually, no, we know each other, and by the Spirit of God, like we actually know each other and mutually submitted to one another out of reverence for Christ, abounding in love towards one another. And it's like this thing's taken shape in a magnificent way for the region, Yep. It's so good that you bring your grace to that conversation, and particularly in the Wyong space, but the northern region of the Uniting Church, and there's great things ahead in all of that.
Yeah. Totally.
And any exciting stories that are kind of emerging out of, you've just shared with us the car park thing at Warnervale. It's like, that's just a big win, isn't it?
It is.
Like, how about the other congregations, or in that one as well, that you're just aware of, that God's up to?
Yeah, there's lots of different things. With Tukley, there was a program that came out of there, which is about which is just blown up in terms of how much it is reaching the area in terms of providing for families can't afford baby products and children products and things like that. So and that's just brought a lot of people from the church involved and from the wider community to be involved in this project that's come out of the church that connects just getting the things that people need into their hands, and that just came from them going, right, we're a smaller church, but we realise, look around us, there's a lot of families in need. What's a small thing that we can do, and do it in such a way that we'll be able to get people from the community engaged, So that's been really exciting, and there's much more to explore.
That's right.
Going forward, and I think, whatever we do is going to have to acknowledge that so many people spend maybe 20 hours of their week on a train back and forth from Sydney.
That's
right. They're also, them working a job that's probably stressing them. There's maybe both parents are working. Then there's childcare costs. Then there's mortgage costs. So people are feeling, time stretched and money stretched. So what can we offer that? But people always want meaning, right? People always want to connect to something that gives hope and purpose and meaning. So how do we do that in a way that feels like it also gives them a chance to connect with friends and family and have that time together? That's actually a gift of time rather than something that drains it. So that's the real thing that I'm asking us every time we think is like, think of the person who's really tired, who's like, already worked a lot, but then on Sunday morning they're looking like they got an email from their work saying, hey, can you quickly look at this thing too?
Hey, how's this? Just your mind just took me straight there. Salvation Army officer down in Umina. Here's the strategy, right? Geez, at 4 a.m, the trains are packed going into Sydney. A quarter, this is what the data says, a quarter of the Central Coast is on a train to Sydney every day. A quarter of the Central Coast. 25% of the entire coast is on a train to Sydney every day, right? So she's 4 a.m. at the train station with trays of fresh cooked muffins, right?
Wonderful.
How can I be a blessing to people in my community? That's the story, eh? Yeah. Anyway, here's what's coming up on the Central Coast, because there's so much going on. It's just ridiculous. Hey, that we've been doing every Monday night, last Monday, this coming, and the following, in the 3 weeks leading up to the federal election, we've been praying 21 days prayer and fasting. And so this coming Monday night, the 6th of May, is that next gathering of the City Church, and that's going to be at C3 in Tuggerah. So we're gathering together from 7 till 8 p.m. as all of the streams of the body of Christ to pray in around the federal election. And so that's an extended invitation to any kingdom person who's got a heart to pray and just be together in oneness. Even just being present is to say, the ecclesia, the gathered church is present, and we're praying for God's righteous government on the earth. So that's 7 p.m. Monday night, 6th of May, and the following Monday is the 13th, the 13th of May, and that's at Salvo's Long Jetty. We're hosting the third of those three. So this coming Monday night is C3 Tuggerah, and then the following will be at Salvo's, 7 to 8 p.m. It's only an hour, but it's great to convene the church, the city church, to pray for that. Thursday, 16th of May, this is great, 7 p.m. is it's called Up Close and Personal. It's an interview with 3 Christian former and current boxing champions. Impact Centre is hosting it. Brilliant outreach initiative. They've got a guy going to their church and a couple of other guys that are, faith-filled guys and walking in with Jesus, and they're going to share their stories. Up close and personal testimony time. That's Thursday, 16th of May at 7 p.m. at Impact. So you want to be a part of that. You've been listening to an Encore presentation of New Expressions, which can be heard live every Friday morning at 10 a.m. on 94.9 Rima Central Coast.